How is it going, guys? Drew Peacock here, back with another video. As you can tell, I'm back from Texas. And while we were out there, we went and experienced some pretty cool stuff. But that asks the question, that begs to know the answer. Is roll racing or drag racing better? Which one is harder? Which one takes more skill? Which one is for men and which one is for children? I'm going to answer that question. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Drew Peacock, and this is my fast Mustang. I don't want to say exactly how fast. It's about 1,000 horsepower to the wheels. We'll just say that. Might be a little more, might be a little less, who knows. But it's about 1,000 horsepower. And I would classify it as a roll race car. I have never drag raced this car on this setup. Back when it was a saline supercharged 3-valve and it made 500 horsepower. I went to the track once and it was an 8th mile track, ran a dog shit time, never went back. Why didn't I go back? Well, because this car wasn't set up for drag racing. It wasn't set up for digs. It was set up for rolls. And let's get into it. So what's the difference? Drag racing typically is, well, you start from a stop and you go a quarter mile and whoever gets there first wins. Or whoever has the fastest time, depending on if you guys both leave at the same time. I think real drag racing, you guys have to leave at the same time, but certain tracks, if the guy's still staging up, the tree will go, and one will take off, one won't until he's fully ready, and then if he runs a faster time, it still counts. I like to play it as legit as possible. Once that tree starts going, you better be ready and you better take off, but I understand if you're there to to test your car and not race, then you leave when you're ready. So I get it, but that's what drag racing is. What's roll racing? Well, roll racing is similar to drag racing. You and your opponent agree on a speed that you guys are going to start from. Once you guys are both ready, someone either honks it down, counts it down, and you guys go. So it could be a 20 roll, 30 roll, 40 roll, 50 roll, 60 roll, 70 roll, depending on how fast you are. Typically, you start from a higher speed. So like cars like a Honda Civic, yeah, you could do a 20 roll, and it's probably a really fun 20 roll. You go from 20 to 60, and you take about 13 seconds to get there. But on a car like this, I can't do a 20 roll because it is too fast. It makes too much power, and it does not put it to the ground, so 20 rolls are kind of off limits. 40 rolls, I would even say, are off limits. It's not a competitive 40 roll car. I would say it's good from a 60. I think with my new mod, hopefully coming next month, I think I'll be able to maybe do 40s, but it will be a monster at 60 then, and it'll be deadly. So we'll have to see how that goes. But regardless, those are the differences. One starts from a dead stop, one starts from a roll. Now, why would you choose one over the other? They're both similar in the sense of you're testing out your car's performance, but why choose one over the other? Why do I, in particular, like roll racing? There's a few reasons. I prefer roll racing for my own application because, one, it's way less stressful on your car. Dig racing requires a lot more money into your car to get it dialed in, to make sure your parts don't break, and even with all that, you're going to eventually break something. It's just a lot less stress on your car for roll racing. You don't have to worry about your axles as much. You don't have to worry about your drive shaft as much. You don't have to worry about your trans as much. You don't have to worry about your clutch as much. You just don't have to worry about that kind of stuff as much. Drag racing, you get that instant shock, all of that weight transfer, 0 to 60 super fast. It's a lot more violent on your whole car. So personally, that's one of the reasons why I like roll racing. Another reason is I don't live near a track. There are no more drag racing tracks near me within probably a good hour, 2-hour radius. So personally, it's just not convenient. If I wanted to make minor adjustments to my car and go out and test it, I either would have to test it on a street where cops are, going to know that it's a known drag racing spot where people stage up all the time and take hits, or I have to schedule a day, trailer it out to a track, and pray it doesn't break, or drive it to a track and pray it doesn't break. That makes more sense. So it's just less convenient. And with roll racing, if I want to test something, I could throw the draggy in the car, go out on the empty highway in the middle of the night, do a quick pass, and see if my time improved. And it's a lot more accessible, I guess you could say. So that's personally my reasons. One, reliability. Two, accessibility. So depending on where you live, might be similar. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty. Which one is harder? Which one takes more skill? Which one's the true test of power, of speed, of all that stuff? Let's get into it. So drag racing and roll racing. It's eventually money versus skill. You can build a very, very, very fast roll race car and then go to a drag strip and have it be ridiculously slow. This would be a great example of it. This thing at a quarter mile, since I don't know how to drag race, would probably run an abysmal time for a 1,000 horsepower car. It would run a really bad time in my opinion. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe I can magically launch it good and get a decent 60-foot time and, you know, make sure I don't spin out and hit a wall, maybe. But realistically, this car is just not set up for that. Now, down the line, it might be. We'll have to see with the new mod coming. It might completely transform this car and make it so, yeah, it could do digs. But most of the time, roll race cars and drag cars are not set up the same. My buddy who owns Quiet, he has a C7 Corvette, and his used to be a roll race car, but he has completely transformed it into a drag race car. And with that comes completely different suspension, completely different wheel and tire setup. Like, there is a big difference. Gear ratios are a huge thing in drag racing that matter because you want your gears to end at a certain time. So you cross that 1320 mark in a particular gear, where that doesn't really matter for roll racing. You know, you start in whatever gear you think is best and you give her hell. So essentially, you can build a fast roll race car and it be dog shit slow at the track. So I do think it takes a lot more skill to build a drag car or to build and race a drag car. Drag racing takes more skill. Flat out, it just does. Drag racing, whether you're launching an automatic, a manual, no matter what, it takes more skill. Especially if you're going at the same time and you got to predict the tree and everything. Not predict it, but you know, you got to get that good jump. Drag racing takes more skill. I can say that out loud. I'm not a child. I can admit that. It just does. Roll racing, the only skill is don't crash, don't miss a shift. In drag racing, you got to launch the car. If that means you got to fucking blend the clutch a little bit because you're in a manual car, you got to do what you got to do. You got to launch the car. You got to make sure you stay straight. You got to read the tree. You got to make sure that you hit your shifts good. You got to make sure that you're not, you know, going sideways into the other lane. Some of those things apply for roll racing, but a lot less of them. There's no tree. There's no launching. You just gun it and pray that you hook. So you don't have to worry about getting your tires up to temperature. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's just essentially gun it. If you're roll racing an automatic, it kind of takes zero skill. Like, the most skill it takes is depending on what your automatic is. Some people like leaving it in manual mode and shifting it. Ooh. Or some people like starting in manual mode and then shifting to drive and then just letting the car shift for you. Doesn't take skill. Roll racing a manual car, I will say, takes a little bit of skill because you're still at least shifting. So in that aspect, respect. But it is what it is. Anyways, drag racing is harder. Like I previously stated, drag racing is just harder. There are more variables. There are more things you have to do. There are more things that have to go right for your run to be good. In a roll racing situation, if you, let's say, I don't know, spin a little bit, you can pedal it and get back in it and still beat the guy. There's no time. There's no clock. You just have to beat that guy. If you guys set up like a 40 to 140, 60 to 160 situation, then sure. But essentially, you have to catch him and beat him. So it just comes down to if your car is fast enough to catch him. In drag racing, if you slip, your run's over. Like, there's no coming back. There's no point. It's like literally doing a speed run in a video game. The moment you fuck up, you kind of got to restart. So there's no point in really just full sending your car down the track if you slip, because what's the point? You're not really going to learn anything from that pass other than, damn, it didn't fucking hook. So there's that. Drag racing is just flat out harder than roll racing. It takes more skill. It does take a lot more skill. You got to know your vehicle. You got to know how it reacts. You got to know what RPM it wants to launch at. You got to know how to sometimes, like I said, blend the clutch or you know, kind of bleed it. You got to understand that. You got to know what PSI. You got to know, you know, how long you got to do a burnout for. You got to know, you know, and predict the tree and all that stuff. And it's just it's harder. Roll racing, once again, 1, 2, 3. and then you take off. And you usually shift 1 or 2 gears and the race is over. Drag racing, you're shifting probably 1 through 4. So a lot more shifting going on. It's happening a lot faster too, because first and second gear are short fucking gears. So there's that as well. You need better parts for drag racing. This is a great example. My car right here, like I said, makes just about 1,000 horsepower. If I went and tried drag racing it on this current setup, it would probably shatter the axles first try. If it hooked up, it would shatter the axles. I'm on stock axles. I've gotten away with 1,000 horsepower on stock axles, but it wouldn't last at a track. If I launched this car at any respectable RPM, those axles are toast. I can get away with it though from a roll because it's a roll. Who gives a shit? You know, it doesn't really matter. It's a lot less stress on your component. You're already moving. That punch isn't as violent. So yeah, it's a lot less violent on the car. But with drag racing, your axles need to be reinforced. Your differential, your suspension parts, everything needs to be beefier because of how violent it is on your car. Now, if you have an automatic, it's less violent, but still, you still need stuff to be strong. People snap axles, snap drive shafts, do all this stuff all the time. So it's just part of it. That's just part of drag racing, which is one of the reasons why I don't really want to do it. I don't feel like breaking my car constantly. I don't feel like destroying my rear end. I don't feel like destroying it. I respect the people that do, but I don't feel like doing that. So respectfully, no. Let's talk about, oh, here we go. Now, drag racing and roll racing are both similar, but if one had to be harder, obviously drag racing is harder in my opinion, but above drag racing I would say is like road course or like actual track driving, you know, going through some twisties. I love doing that. I think it is more fun than roll racing and drag racing. I mean, I don't really drag race, but I think going to the track in the McLaren or in any car is, I can't wait to take this car, the ZR1. I think that is some of the most fun you can have, and you can have that fun with any car, any horsepower. That is some of the coolest stuff ever. Yeah, it's a little hard on your car, your brakes, your tires, your cooling system, your engine. It's a little tiring on your car. You're gonna wear some stuff out, but you can go with damn near any car and have a fun time. If you haven't raced on a track, you don't know what you're missing out on. It is so cool. Now again, I was a little spoiled and I took my McLaren to a track, but it's so fun passing people because you are a better driver or you're in a faster car. And I was passed too. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't the fastest guy at the track. I don't know what I'm doing 100% of the time, but it is so fun when you're chasing somebody down that's a respectable track driver and you pass them and you're like, wow, I just passed that guy, whatever. Again, I was kind of cheating because I was in a McLaren, but in my defense, the 12C isn't the best track car out there. It's not a full aeroed out track car. It had two 45s up front and I was pushing them to the limit. So track driving is more fun in my opinion than both, but I still like my roll racing. Again, it's just more convenient. It's more accessible. All right, let's talk about roll racing though. We've talked about drag racing. We've talked a little about road course and track driving. Let's talk about roll racing. Roll racing, flat out, is easier. It is easier to roll race. It is easier to roll race a car. It just is. It's just there's less going on. You're already rolling. Traction sometimes isn't an issue depending on your car. Again, once you get really fast, like yeah, it is, but you for the most part don't really have to worry too much about traction. I didn't really have to worry until I was making 900 plus, and then it became a little bit of an issue, and it's been a little bit of an issue just being a manual transmission, 900 plus horsepower. You're gonna have issues. That's the one thing where drag racing, you got to prep track. You don't get that in roll racing. So in that sense, it is harder if you have like a high horsepower car, but a lot of these like newer cars, they have crazy traction control systems to where you don't really even have to worry. Again, the problem with my car in particular is it is an old shit box with a Coyote swap, and I don't have traction control. So it is all up to me, and I have to make sure that I get this bitch going straight and hooking and booking. It's all up to me. So that is that. Roll racing is a perfect example of it takes more money and less skill. You can be the fastest guy out there roll racing and just press the gas. All you have to do is press the gas. That's all you have to do. You can build a twin turbo Huracan with just a lot of money, and just you would lose every drag race ever, but you will win every roll race ever because all you gotta do is press the gas and go straight. Roll racing comes down to essentially who just wants to put the most money in their car. Personally, I draw a line at a certain point. I don't care to be the fastest ever, but yeah, it's still cool beating people, obviously. But yeah, essentially, there's always a bigger fish. This goes for drag racing, obviously, too. But there's always going to be a bigger fish out there. So don't try to chase to be the fastest. It's just, we're not born like that. So we can't do that. But roll racing is definitely more of a money's game of like, who put the most money in their car. Now, there are some cars that obviously are kind of cheat codes. A10 manual or A10 Whipple Mustangs, A10 F-150s. These cars are kind of just cheat codes. You can kind of get them really fast for very little money. Corvettes are a great example as well. Like this car would be a super easy car to get to 1,000 horsepower. I just love how it drives so much that I don't really want to do that, so I'm not going to. But it would be very easy to get this to 1,000 horsepower. It would destroy the shit out of this. It would probably run a low 4-second 60 to 130. It would be a fucking missile. But it's a ZR1, and I love how this car handles, and I love how this car is going to be once I get my new wheels and tires on it. And when I take it to the track, it is going to be so much fun that personally, I just don't care. I don't care to go that fast in this car. It's already so much fun. You know, yeah, it'll be more fun with 1,000 horsepower in a straight line, but all around this car is so much fun that I don't care for all that. So, but again, there are some fast ZR1s out there. No disrespect to them. They got money to do that kind of stuff. Do what you want. It's your car. But it's just such a fun, nice handling car. God, if I could fuck a car, I'd be fucking this car right now. It's just such a nice car. But anyways, all roll racing comes down to is essentially who put more money into their car. That's all it is. So it's more fun and accessible. I will say roll racing I do think is more fun and accessible because unlike drag racing where you have to race and then go restage up, let your car cool off maybe, you know, do all that stuff and it's a waiting game, roll racing is, oh, I just beat you. Okay, your friend's pulling up on me. Oh, I just clapped your friend too. Oh, now your other friend wants some. Oh, I just clapped all three of you. It's more like, this is a great example. Drag racing is Rainbow Six. There's a lot of waiting. Then you know, it's fun once the action starts going, but there's a lot of waiting and setup. Roll racing is like Call of Duty. It's nonstop brain rot, just back to back to back to back to back. It's actually a pretty fair comparison. But that's essentially what it is. It's like, oh, look at this roll race meet. It is literally 15 to 20 minutes of just nonstop back to back to back to back to back. Oh shit, there's cops way back there. Time to dip out, you know? That's essentially what roll racing is. The scary part is you're doing it on public highways. You're doing it down in Mexico. You're doing it where cops can get called. So you have to be careful. There's a little bit of an oh shit factor of it. And some people like that factor. I personally don't. It is not fun getting arrested. So just, yeah, that's the downside of it. Also, do not roll race if there are cars all over the freeway. Just not worth it. Not worth it to anyone. Don't do that. But yeah, it's more fun in my opinion because of the just nonstop thrill of action of it. And it's more fun and accessible to everybody because, like, you know, not the other night, but back in December when I went to a toy drive with this car and I was coming home, I just so happened to stumble across a roll race group and I clapped every single one of them. And this is probably back then when the car was having fuel issues. But I didn't even have to rev it out at all because I was just clapping them so bad. While I'm here, I kind of just want to check something. I'll check it in a minute. But yeah, you know, it's like, it's just one of those things where you can kind of find yourself in the middle of a pack that is roll racing, or, you know, you're cruising home in traffic and some guy pulls up on you and you just want to give him the smoke. So in that sense, I would say roll racing is better because, you know, you can't really pull over and do a drag race. It's just, it's not really happening. And most of these drag race cars aren't capable of doing that on the street. So you can drive a roll race car to work. You can't really drive a drag race car to work. You can, but you get what I'm saying. Lastly, one of them is more dangerous. I would say roll racing is more dangerous just because there's a lot less safety parameters. Obviously, there's no fucking regulations. You don't have to put a cage in your car. You don't have to wear a helmet. You don't need a fire suit. Some people don't even wear a damn seatbelt. But it's more dangerous for everyone. You know, there's randoms, there's NPCs, there's, you know, you're racing some guy that you don't know. He might be an idiot, not know how to drive. His car might not hook up that well. You might get T-boned or sideswiped or pit maneuvered. You know, it's a lot more dangerous, a lot more sketch in that sense. And yeah, drag racing is definitely the more legit way. If I was a hardcore drag racer, I'm sure I would have a lot more sponsors. But since, you know, I post me going out to Mexico and having fun, a lot of companies don't want to touch that because of obvious reasons. And I respect it, you know, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and do questionable things and like ask for people to support it, because if one day I hurt somebody or I crash or whatever, that looks really bad on them. So it's just part of it. It's just, there's less opportunity in the roll racing scene, unless you do like professional roll racing, but that's kind of a joke. There's less opportunity in the roll racing scene than there is the drag racing scene, because one of them is more legit. So that's why I'm working hard on this car to get it more of like a track car, because then I can get sponsors for this car and yeah, you know, go to the events and have some fun. But overall, drag racing is harder. Roll racing is more fun, in my opinion. And I think people would agree with that analogy of just back-to-back-to-back action. But roll racing is more dangerous and more sketch, and you should really do it only if you know what you're doing. I also have a rule of thumb, like, I don't just race anyone. You know, if someone pulls up on me, they have to look like they know what they're doing, you know. But yeah, I'll give anyone the smoke if they pull up on me, you know. I'll give it to them. If they ask for it politely, I'll give it to them. So, yeah. Now, I guess to finish off this video, I know I mentioned it briefly, not professional, but legit roll racing or track roll racing. This is cool. I wish more tracks around me did this. I don't know a single track actually that does. But the issue with legit roll racing is the rules around it. I was watching a video, because at Texas 2K they have it where, you know, you guys start from a roll and then you guys gun it at the tree, and you're supposed to be going from a 40 or a 60. I forgot what it is. But they don't really specify how that works. If both cars are cruising at 60 and then gun it at the line or whatever, that seems fair. But there's cars that will let the other car go in front and then gun it before, and as long as they hit the line at the right speed, it's a legit run. But they already have all this momentum, which is not how roll racing works. Because that's like me starting from a 60 roll and then the other guy already coming up flying past me, and then I go. It's like he's got all this momentum already, and yeah, it's just that's not how it works. So I don't know if that's really a legit thing or not, in the sense of like, do people build roll race cars for legit tournaments, or are roll race cars more for people that just want to go street race? So I don't know. You guys got to let me know down below. But overall, coming from a roll racer, drag racing takes more balls. It is way harder on your car. Takes more skill. I'm an adult. I could say it. If somebody's going to sit here and thinks that, you know, it's harder to roll race, you're an idiot. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I do want to go do some fun stuff with this car. Hopefully we can go do some cool stuff. Once I get this new thing, there's this new thing I want, and it should make this car pretty fun. It should make this car hook and book pretty good. So yeah, we'll have to see. But this car is going to completely get kind of transformed, if that makes any sense. We'll have to see. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you prefer roll racing? Do you prefer drag racing? Which one's harder? Which one's easier? Let me know your thoughts. To have a discussion down below. Talk to each other. Make love. And until next video, peace.